We rolling? We rolling on here? The spacing look good? I don't want to mess this up again, okay? I'm coming for you. I'm coming for your job. I know there's better people out there. I only get you because you're cheap. You know that? Hello, my name is Titan King, and the world is my oyster. Today I will be teaching you the history of the world, or rather the history of America, since that is the only important thing in the world. Christopher Columbus found America in 1462 when he famously sailed the ocean blue. There he met George Washington, leader of America. George, he said, "I want you to make a country that is holy in the eyes of God." "Okay, Christopher, I can do that," said little old George. And thus, the United States of America was born. 200 years later, and the liberals want to destroy this country and take it from you. You may be asking yourself, Titan, how'd you learn all these things? How are you qualified to be teaching us? Well, my friend, it all has to do with a little someone I met 10 years ago at this point. That man, well, you may have heard of him. Senator Marco Rubio. I met Marco Rubio at a Little Caesars in the great state of Chicago. Not just any old Little Caesars, though. Little Caesars Con, 1998. The convention for only the biggest Little Caesars heads in the whole world. These guys love Little Caesars. These guys could eat a whole pie in 5 seconds flat just like that and you wouldn't even know it. And that year, only 2 people showed up to Little Caesars Con. Me, myself, Titan M. King, and Senator Marco Rubio. Though, of course, at that time, he wasn't even a senator. He was just a sleazy little lawyer from the great state of Florida. Besides the point, me and him were there gobbling pie all night long when Little Caesar came up to us and said, "Boys, I got something to tell you." Little Caesar said, "I've been talking to the Little Caesars Oracle all night long." And the Little Caesars Oracle, the very same one who told me to found this pizza restaurant some 10 years ago, came to me tonight and said that you two are destined to fall in love in a completely platonic teacher-mentee relationship. And I said, "Wow, Marco, if the Oracle of Little Caesars is saying that me and you are meant to be together in a platonic way, there's nothing we can do about it. It's foretold." One thing that the Little Caesars Oracle also told me is that I am going to get dementia very soon. Potentially already. I may have it. Another thing the Little Caesars Oracle told me is that the Little Caesars Oracle doesn't even actually exist. It's all made up. Anyhow, at that point, Marco started to open up to me. He told me about his woes, his trouble at home, of course, his dreams of becoming a senator, something else that the Oracle foretold many years ago. And he said to me, "Titan, I want you to know one thing about me right off the bat. I live every day of my life dealing with a crippling and horrible disease." Tears came to his eyes as he began to tell me about the curse that he lives with every single day of his life. And that curse, my friends, I do not tell you lightly today. I only tell you because I believe that it is the only way that you can truly understand that I'm telling you the truth about this whole situation. Marco looked me in the eyes and he said, "Titan, I'm cursed. If I ever speak a lie, a fib, a josh, if I ever joke around and don't tell the truth, I will melt. Melt like the Wicked Witch of the West melted when Dorothy snatched her slippers." It'll melt right up if he tells a lie. Wild, right? But he lives with this every day. As a lawyer, it made him so that he could only tell the truth. Now, as a senator, it means that he can never speak lies. Perhaps the only politician in the whole world to be able to claim that one. Not that he's telling people about his little secret, because weaponizing it, using it against him by the FBI or the CIA or the government could take him out right away if they tricked him into saying a lie. Besides the point, me and Marco Rubio become great friends, as foretold by the Oracle. Some years later, I'm getting around and making these videos, educational series, and I think to myself, how can I make sure that people understand what I'm saying is true? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Some years ago, Senator Marco Rubio and I engaged in a manner which is not appropriate to discuss here, but nonetheless, I'll tell you that I now have the same curse bestowed upon me, where if I were to ever lie or tell a fib, I would in fact melt. This curse was transmitted in a manner that was sexual. It has been described as by doctors, as an STD, but I want you to know that me and Marco Rubio did not sleep together. It was a whole situation with a toilet seat. Long story short, if I were to ever tell a lie, I would melt, and thus you know everything I'm saying is true. I don't even know if any of this is true. I don't even know if I actually melt if I lie, because it's like I haven't even been bold enough to try and lie intentionally yet, because I know I'll melt. So it's like there's really no way to know for sure if you have the curse, because if you prove to yourself that you do have it, you just melt and you're gone, just gone in an instant. And that really weighs on me at times, because it's like, what if I accidentally lied, or worse yet, what if the CIA, the NSA, the government tricked me into lying in a targeted assassination attempt, and I just melted there and then, and there'd be nothing I could do about it. Anyhow, let's get back to the story, or shall I say his story, or history. There is much about our history that no textbook will ever tell you, because it is forbidden knowledge. For example, the real truth of the Boston Tea Party. George Washington's real name, of course, the mighty and terrible Wizard Wars which decimated thousands. Area 51's true purpose, or the simple fact that the Titanic was not just a movie. This is episode 1 of Titan Tells the Truth, where Titan teaches the real history of the world. Today I will focus in on one aspect of history which has been hidden from you, because it is no doubt too powerful, and you would escape the Matrix were you to even hear a glimpse of it. And thus I begin, my friends, and thus I begin. Today I will tell you the real history of Walmart. Welcome back to Titan Tells the Truth. My name is Titan King, and this is the history they've hidden from you. Who owns Walmart? A little family with the last name Walton. John Walton, Samuel Walton, Ebenezer Welton, many people. None of them famous. None of them very well known. And intentionally so, my friends, because the very first Walton to ever grace this great old country with its red, white, and blue flags and the screaming eagles, well, that was a little someone named George. George Waltonshington. George Waltonshington. George Waltonington. George Waltonshington. George Waltonshington. That's right. Through a delicate conspiracy, scholars over hundreds of years have conspired to change the history and change George Waltonshington's real name from what it truly was, a Walton, to George Washington. Something that couldn't be farther from the truth. That's right, the very first member of the Walton family to grace this great country was none other than the man known by many as George Washington, the founding father himself of the whole dang country. When George Waltonshington and Christopher Columbus first met, the plea from Christopher Columbus to found the United States of America was not the only words exchanged by them. Additionally, Christopher Columbus told George Washington a little something about the liberals who were coming to destroy the country some 200 years in the future. You see, Christopher Columbus, whilst sailing the ocean blue, came into contact with the beast known as the Kraken. The Kraken can influence the pathways of one's future. The Kraken told Christopher Columbus that some 200 years odd later, the liberals, a group inherent in their satanicness, their horribility, and their rage against God and the true meaning of Constitution, would come to destroy this country. Christopher Columbus was imbued with the knowledge that a great evil, the liberals, were coming right here, right now, and he told George Waltonshington a little something. He said, George, you got to do something right spanking now to stop the liberals from ruining this country some 200 years in the future. Now, George Waltonshington, he's no stupid guy. George Waltonshington thinks to himself, what am I going to do about this little problem of the liberals coming here to take over the country in 200 years? And he does something which no American citizen should ever have to do. I'll say that right now. I'll say that I would never do it. And he sails back across the ocean blue to the great state of England. George Washington heads over to the great state of England, and he comes into contact with a man by the name of Nikola Tesla. Tesla was, of course, working on his great machine right then, time travel, traveling from future to past, etc. And thus, George Washington makes his way to the year 2020. Unfortunately, George Washington was infected with at the time, would have been common cold. That common cold, COVID-19, that's right. George Washington comes back, realizes what he's done, jumps back 40 years to the 1980s, jumps back another 20, 1960s. And there, he fathers two sons, Johnny and John Walton, dropping the Tunchington part from his name. There, Johnny and John were taught the many pillars of business. They were taught fearsome fighting skills. They were taught the power to slay men and dragons. And they were taught most of all that they were carrying the weight and the burden of stopping the liberals from taking away this country onto their very backs. At this point, George jumps back to the past to found the country, leaving John and Johnny on their own to start what would later become known as Walmart. Now, John and Johnny had a simple plan. Build a Walmart at every major ley line crossing in the entire damn country. By building a monolith, a place of supreme force, a place imbued with their father's precious energy at these important intersections across the country, they could create a hex, the power of which would stop any liberal from ever getting anywhere close to even thinking about messing with this old country. George Washington. They took his teeth from him. They took tooth 1, canine, tooth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, second canine, all the top row, all the bottom row, 2 more canines in there. They ground them up into a fine little paste, and then they made each one the cornerstone of a Walmart somewhere across the country. Now, the Waltons had to accrue monumental amounts of wealth to be able to build these monuments all throughout the country to create this beautiful hex which would protect us from the liberals. Thus, they devised what I would describe as a genius money-making scheme wherein they built a superstore, a store the likes of which had never been seen before or anymore around the horror of his teeth. They put the tooth monument in the middle of each store, right in the lingerie aisle where no one would ever think to look at it. And then they build up a whole store around it, and boom, you got passive wealth income generation from each store. It costs nothing to run because the monument generates all of the power and the allure. It draws people into the store. And yet it serves its secondary and tertiary purposes of being part of the monumental hex designed to stop the liberals from ever taking over America. Now you might be asking, Titan, how come I have never seen one of these tooth statues in a Walmart protecting me from the liberals? And the fact of the matter is you have. You just haven't noticed it. You've gone, what some would say is the equivalent of nose blind to it, where you just see it every day, every time you go into a Walmart, and you don't notice it anymore. Maybe when you were a little kid, you noticed it. Maybe you thought to yourself in your little kid head, what's that big tooth statue over there? But nowadays, you look at it, it's pitter patter. You don't even think about it. That's just a tooth statue. That's just how it is. And that's why you don't notice it. Each and every one of the atoms in my body is coursing through space at an unimaginable speed, and there's nothing stopping me from flinging off into the void and never seeing this planet or anything I love again. I am held on by a force that science does not understand, still just a theory of gravity. I am held on by the whim of God to the ground on which I walk, and I want you to know that I don't take that lightly. I want you to know that I do not take lightly the fact that at any moment I could be flung into the heavens, away from everything that ever has been or ever will be. I could be flung away from it all in a mere instant and never see any of it again. My body would fly into a billion atoms separating across the galaxy, one at each planet. All right, everyone, I've rambled long enough about the boring old history. History, right? Who cares about that? Who cares about that, Titan? I don't care about history. All I care about is the stock market. Woo, 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 woo. Dumbass, history is what makes everything work, all right? The fact of the matter is, my friends, that there's an important election coming up. Depending on who takes the White House come this November, the future of America is incredibly at stake. That's why you need to write in on your ballots the word Walmart. You can't be voting for any of the talking heads candidates that the mainstream media wants you to vote for. The fact of the matter is, Walmart is the only president who has a direct lineage straight back to George Washington or Waltunchington, depending on who you ask me. The fact of the matter is, we need Walmart to guide us in this trying time. I actually wish that Hillary Clinton won the election, because I feel like that she could have maybe helped Walmart out a little bit. Whereas I think Donald Trump and Joe Biden got so caught up in their kind of Superman v. Batman type feud that they didn't even realize, like, they didn't even really do anything. Whereas I think Hillary could have really, like, if we had pressured her into it, she really could have zeroed in on the Walmart thing. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it just is what it is at this point. The 100,000 tooth monuments across the country have banded together, formed a mirage of a man, a hologram, so and such, of George Waltunchington, who can lead this country. The fact of the matter is, you need to vote for Walmart come this election. You need to drive to your Walmart right now. You need to begin tithing 10% of your yearly income to Walmart. Doesn't matter what you buy. Ideally, the things that they get for the cheapest, but there's the biggest markup on. So what you need to be buying right now are prescription medications from Walmart. You need to be purchasing, blood thinners. If you have a rare disease, you need to be buying your medication from Walmart. The fact of the matter is, the markup on these things is wild. Thousands, 2,000s of percent markups. Now, some of that's going straight back to the companies. Sure, doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, Walmart's making a huge profit on that, and they're going to use that profit from your prescription medications to build straight up more tooth monuments, so that come this election, everybody in this whole country, there is going to be 1 million ballots, 1 million people in this country, all voted for Walmart. Boom! Swing. Walmart wins the election, and the liberals are once and for all defeated. My friends, let me tell you this. 3 steps for you today. Number 1, write in Walmart on your ballot come this November. Number 2, prescription drugs from Walmart. If you don't have a condition, go get one. Breathe lead paint, drink gasoline, yummy, 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 eat plastic. That's what I've been doing for years. And number 3, tithe. Tithe. 10%, you can do 10%, do 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 70% of your income going to Walmart every single month. It's like you're buying a wedding ring. 3 months of income per month to the Walmart, and we might just hope to be saved. My friends, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I want you to know that Titan really cares about you, and that even though I am being hunted day and night, by my enemies, I am still coming to you to make these messages. I am still here for you. Daddy loves you. I think I'm gonna go to sleep here once this video is done. It's been a really long day. So thank you, Titan Nation, for listening to another video. Thank you to Marco Rubio for approving this one again. And I'm just so tired, and it's really weighing on me, all of it. So thanks for watching, and good night. Stay real.